So Merry Sputnik Day, October 4th is Merry Sputnik Day. What is Sputnik? It was launched by the USSR as the first artificial Earth satellite. We got a satellite up in the sky. Who put it up there? Was it China? Was it Taiwan? Was it Indonesia? Was it Ukraine? No. It was, part of the USSR, Ukraine. So in a way, yes, Ukraine put Sputnik up into the air. Sputnik. This is 1957, the first artificial Earth satellite launched into an elliptical low Earth orbit. An elliptical low Earth orbit by the Soviet Union on October 4th, 1957 as part of the Soviet space program. It sent a radio signal back to Earth for 3 weeks before its 3 silver zinc batteries became depleted. For 3 weeks. And then this scared the shit out of America because it's like, oh shit, the USSR, this is the nuclear age, right? The USSR is sitting there having satellites circle the Earth for 3 weeks. They got the technology to have satellites circle the Earth during the nuclear age. Oh my God, I thought we were better at technology. I thought we were smarter with the science and the whatchamacallit stuff. So let's list all the things that happened on October 4th that are worthy of celebration. 1648, the first fire department, Peter Stuyvesant, New Amsterdam. 4 men were fire wardens' chimneys. The first fire department, Peter Stuyvesant, New Amsterdam. This is 1648. So Merry Fire Department Day, Merry Sputnik, Merry Satellite Day. And then 2018 is Tom Brady's third. He's the third quarterback to get 500 touchdown passes. So Merry Tom Brady Day. Also Wikileaks Day. Sputnik 1 for the internet. So Merry Wikileaks Day. Is this when Wikileaks had entered our consciousness? Wikileaks. This is Sputnik. Let's see, October 4th. What year do I have? I didn't write it down. So October 4th, we'll just say the 10-year anniversary. What year was the 10-year anniversary on? Then we can figure it out from reverse engineering, right? October 4th to December 28th, 10 million documents. Come on, you're saying the 10-year anniversary, but you're not telling me even what this day is. WikiLeaks. What year did WikiLeaks emerge? Let's see. WikiLeaks website was launched on October 4th, 2006. 2006. So, goodness gracious, it's coming up to the 20-year anniversary here soon. That's going to be a huge celebration in 2026. 23 AD, you had the Wang Mang Jujin was decapitated. Old Jujin was decapitated after the Red Eyebrows peasant revolution. So you had a peasant revolution. The Red Eyebrows are going to overthrow Wang Mang, old Jujun. So the Red Eyebrows overthrow Jujun at the Yang Palace. The capital is sacked. That's 23 AD. So now we're talking about revolution. Was it right? Was this Wang Mang Jujun a good fucking guy? Well, let's talk about revolution. Chris Hedges says that the only thing we can do to save ourselves is mass civil disruption. But then you have Stokely Carmichael who says that nonviolence gives credit. No, nonviolence only works if your opponent has a conscience. In order for nonviolence to work, your opponent must have a conscience. So Wang Mang didn't have a conscience, right? So in order for Chris Hedges' thing to mass civil disruption, does mass civil disruption change Wang Mang's ways? He says that's the only way to save ourselves. You also have when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. There's also this here too. It says that we're talking about revolutions, and well, how revolutions can be extremely bloody affairs. But somebody says if you only go after the ruling class, then the blood will be limited to the few for the good of the many. There's another person that said here, special D circumstances at AJ Alkaline. there can be legitimate revolutionary change with minimal violence, no more than already goes on every day under the current system, but the threat of it has to be respected by the powers that be for that to happen. In the end, it's the people already in power who decide that. The best way to co-opt the revolution, or the best way to stave off the revolution, is to co-opt it. So what is Wang Mang's problem? Wang Mang, courtesy name is Zhuzhun, officially known as the Shi Jianjiao Emperor, was the founder and only emperor of the short-lived Chinese Xin dynasty. He was originally an official consort kin of the Han dynasty, later seized the throne 9 AD. So wait, this says October 6th. This says October 6th is when he was deposed, but maybe, let's see here. Why are we saying October 4th? Why are we saying October 4th? See, late reign. So you had agrarian revolts. Well, is it the 6th or the 4th? We'll have to, check that out to make sure. Hey, here it is. Here it is. The rebels are going to sack the capital on October 4th, 23. So I guess they're going to take over the capital, and then they're going to execute the emperor 2 days later. And then who becomes the emperor after him? Is there an emperor after him? Because the Xin dynasty is just what they're calling his thing. But who is the next? What's the next dynasty? Succeeded by the Eastern Han dynasty. That's going to happen, let's see, August 5th, 24 AD? I don't know. But let's see, what could he have done? What could he have done better? Well, let's see what some of the problems were. Let's see, late reign. I mean, there's problems and problems, but he just kept pushing it. Agrarian rebellions. So for a while, despite the failures of Wang Mang, despite the failures of Wang Mang's policies, the people were generally obedient, and his reign as emperor looked to be on firm footing. However, in 11 CE, the Yellow River overflowed its banks, flooding much of the surrounding land in the process. The ensuing famine led to prophecies that Wang Mang had lost the mandate of heaven and that the Han dynasty would be restored. 17 CE, as the burdens from the wars and the corruption continued to increase and famines occurred, there's a major famine in the Jing prefecture. Several agrarian rebellions started and took hold. People have to eat. We can't even raise food for us to eat. We have to eat. The more significant rebellion leaders included Gue Shin Yi, Mother Lu, whose son was a minor civil servant who was wrongly killed by the county magistrate. She gathered a group of desperate young men and killed the county magistrate, and then went on to the sea to become pirates, but later returned to land when her forces increased in size. Zhang Ba occupied territory. Yang Mu Diao Zidu, who roved through what is modern western Shandong and northern Jiangsu. The Lulu Mountain rebels were led by Wang Kuang and Wang Feng, not to be confused with Wang Mang's uncle of the same name, because both Wang Kuang and Wang Feng were the Xinshi and modern Jingmen who those rebels. Okay, goodness gracious. The Chimai, or the Red Eyebrow rebels, who were led by Fan Chong, who rode through large swaths of territory. So you got all these revolutions that's happening in China. His people needed to eat, but his people didn't have food. And this piece of shit says he's the power, he gets the authority and the money and the power, and he gets to rule over everybody, even though the people don't even have any damn food. I mean, my God, human needs, that's food, water, shelter, food, water, shelter, security, food, water, shelter, security, and what else? What's Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have the physiological need. You got to breathe, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. So you got to have your conditions to be where you can breathe and where you can sleep and put on clothes and have shelter and food and water. You have to have those things. So Wang Mang fucked up. He fucked up because, well, this is actually in the middle of the middle reign. So the change of air, agrarian revolts, Wang Mang finally realized, as many of his officials had been trying to tell him, that the agrarian rebellions were posing a much greater threat to his rule than the Eongnu. He commissioned two of his key officials, Wang Kuang, not to be confused with the Lulin leader, the same name, and Lian Dan, to launch attacks against the agrarian rebellions, with the Chai being their first target. Wang and Lian had some initial successes, but Wang insisted on having them keep fighting without resting, and the fatigued forces eventually collapsed. So now he's telling his people, his men, his army, to keep fighting until they have no food and water and places to sleep. In the same year, the Lulin forces suffered the effect of a major plague, which killed about half of the rebels. This caused the rebels to divide. Okay, so ultimately, let's get to October 4th, 23 AD. And we got some other holidays here. I'll go ahead and read the rest of the holidays after I read this paragraph, okay? Conquest of the capitals. Gingxi Emperor then established two armies, one led by Wang Kuang, which targeted Liu Yang, and the other led by Shintu Jian and Li Song, which targeted Chang'an. Many of the populace on the way gathered, welcomed, and then joined the Han forces. Shintu and Li quickly reached the outskirts of Chang'an. The rebels sacked the capital on October 4th, 23 AD. In response, the young men within Chang'an also rose up and stormed Weiyang Palace, the main imperial palace. Wang Mang died in the battle at the palace, as did his daughter, Princess Huang, the former empress of Han. After Wang Mang died, they're probably just being named Wang Mang. Wang Mang? You want us to call you Wang Mang? Hey, there's Wang Mang. What are you saying to me? Wang Mang? You're nothing but a Wang Mang. You just want to be a Wang Mang? The crowd fought over the right to have the credit for having killed Wang, and tens of soldiers died in the ensuing fight. Wang's body was cut into pieces. His head was delivered to the provisional Han capital, Wang Chang, to be hung on the city wall. However, the angry people took it off the wall and kicked it around, and someone cut his tongue off and ate it. So, Jesus. That's like chimpanzee kind of shit. When the chimpanzees finally overthrow the alpha, they just rip him into pieces. Chop off his head, put the head on a wall, then use his head as a soccer ball, kicking it around here and there, and then cut the tongue out, and then eat the tongue. Well, let's eat his tongue. That head has been, that is not, eventually the head was preserved and kept in a court vault until it was destroyed in a fire during the Jin dynasty. Hold on, guys, let's save this head without a tongue. Let's save the head you've been kicking around, kept in a court vault. I want to know about how he died specifically, because it's saying he didn't die until 2 days later. So let's see. How did he die? Is there a way we can find this out? Wang Mang death. So the Chinese Britannica, that was Wikipedia. Let's take a look at Encyclopedia Britannica. And then it's saying here, Emperor Wang Mang, is that China's first socialist? Are you kidding me? So he's born 45 BC and he died October 6, 23 AD. They said he was the usurper emperor because his reign and that of his successor interrupted the Liu family succession of China's Han dynasty. So let's get to his death. Red Eyebrows is the Chinese rebel group. So let's see. Do we say on October 4th, 23 AD, rebels broke through one of the city gates on the east wall of the capital. After hours of street fighting, they reached the imperial palace about 4 miles distant at sundown. On the next morning, October 5th, some people within the city joined the rebels, forced their way into the palace, and set parts of it afire. The conflagration spread and fighting raged throughout the day. Wang Mang, in purple garments and girded with the imperial seals, attempted to marshal magical defenses. He did not eat and became more and more exhausted. At dawn on October 6th, he was conducted by chariot to the terrace, bathed by water, where his attendants, still more than 1,000 strong, made their last stand. They defended themselves with crossbows until their supply of arrows was exhausted. Then they drew their swords and fought hand to hand. In the late afternoon, the rebels forced their way onto the terrace where Wang Mang was killed along with the last of his followers. Red Eyebrows, it's a peasant band that formed in response to the unrest and civil war following the floods and famines that accompanied the disastrous changes in the course of the Huang He, the Yellow River, between 2 AD and 11 AD. They painted their faces to look like demons, and their leaders spoke through mediums. In 23 AD, their forces were involved in the overthrow of Wang Mang, the usurper whose reign had interrupted the Han dynasty. Man, you interrupted the Han dynasty. Now we're going to say he's the first socialist, December 9th, 2011. The Imperial Chinese Army, 420,000 strong, had been utterly defeated. 9 Tiger generals sent to lead a corps of 10,000 elite soldiers had been swept aside as rebel forces close in. This is October 7th, 23 AD, so this is the day after he gets killed. The last available troops, convicts released from the local jails, have fled. 3 days ago, rebels breached the defenses of China's great capital, Chang'an. Now, after some bloody fighting, they are scaling the walls of the emperor's private compound deep within his endless palace. Emperor Wang Mang waits for death for 20 years, ever since he first contemplated the overthrow of the dissolute remnants of the Han dynasty. The usurper Wang had driven himself to keep an inhuman schedule, working through the night and sleeping at his desk. He labored to transform China. When the rebellion against him gained strength, however, Wang appeared to give up. He retreated to his palace and summoned magicians with whom he passed his time testing spells. He began to assign strange mystical titles to his army commanders, such as the colonel holding a great axe to chop down withered wood. And for you, I'll call you the commandant, the general. No, I'm going to call you the colonel holding a great axe to chop down withered wood. Okay, such excesses seemed out of character for Wang Mang, a Confucian scholar renowned as ecstatic. Frankly, my own assessment is he was high on drugs for most of the period. Knowing all was lost, he chose to escape reality, seeking a few last weeks of pleasure. When the rebels broke into his palace, Wang Mang was in the Imperium harem, surrounded by his 3 harmonious ladies, 9 official wives, 27 hand-picked beauties, and their 81 attendants. He had dyed his white hair in order to look calm and youthful. Desperate officials persuaded him to retire with them to a high tower surrounded by water. In the center of the capital, there 1,000 loyalists made a last stand before the armies of the revived Han, retreating step by step up twisting stairs until the emperor was cornered on the highest floor. Wang Mang was slain late in the afternoon, his head severed, his body torn to pieces by soldiers seeking mementos, his tongue cut out and eaten by an enemy. Did he wonder as he died how it came to this? How his attempts at reform had inflamed a whole nation? Did it strike him as ironic that the peasants he had tried to help with a program so seemingly radical that some scholars describe it as socialistic, even communistic, had been the first to turn against him? What's this socialist program? Because he tried reform in the beginning, but then it wasn't working. Did he keep on reforming, or did he just say, I tried reform, and then just, let's see. I don't know exactly what they're saying with this damn thing with socialism. Here, Wang Mang appraisal process, 1928. Hughes view, Han Dynasty was most richly deserved condemnation for having produced a long line of degenerate scions. Wang Mang, on the other hand, lived simply, thought deeply, and was the first man to win the empire without an armed revolution. Moreover, Wang Mang then nationalized his empire's land, distributed equally to his subjects, cut land taxes from 50% to 10%, and was, all in all, frankly communistic, a remark Hugh intended as a compliment. Hugh Xi's portrayal of Wang Mang has been hotly disputed since he wrote it, and understanding what the emperor really thought or intended during his reign is rendered all but impossible by the scarcity of sources. With the exception of a few coins and a handful of archaeological remains, all that is known of Wang is contained in his official biography, which appears as Chapter 99 of the History of Han Dynasty, compiled shortly before 100 AD. This is quite a lengthy document, the longest of all the imperial biographies that survived from this period, but by its very nature, it's implacably opposed to the usurper emperor. To make matters worse, while the history says a good deal about what Wang Mang did, it tells us very little bit about why he did it. In particular, it displays no real interest in his economic policies. So, what? He invented an early form of Social Security payments, collecting taxes from the wealthy to make loans to the traditionally uncredit-worthy poor. He certainly introduced the 6 controls, government monopolies on key products such as iron and salt. I like the idea of giving everybody land and then going from there. Instead of just saying everybody gets, food and water, everybody gets the capacity. Everybody gets food and water, but you get the capacity to make your own food and water and become independent with your own land. 6 controls, let's see, government monopolies on iron and salt, sort of state socialism, I guess, controlling the means of production. The only way that would work, because a fascist could just fucking steal iron and salt, right, is if you're giving it out to the people. Responsible for a policy known as the 5 equalizations, an elaborate attempt to damp down fluctuations in prices. Even Wang Mang's harshest modern critic agreed that his ban on the sale of cultivated land was an attempt to save desperate farmers from the temptation to sell up during times of famine. Instead, his state provided disaster relief. Later, the emperor imposed a ruinous tax upon slave owners. It is equally possible to interpret this tax as either an attempt to make slaveholding impossible or as a naked grab for money. Of all Wang Mang's policies, however, 2 stand out: his land reforms and the changes he made to China's money. As early as 6 AD, when he was still merely regent for an infant named Liu Ying, Wang ordered the withdrawal of the empire's gold-based coins and the replacement of 4 bronze denominations of purely nominal value, round coins with values of 1 and 50 cash, and larger knife-shaped coins worth 505,000 cash. Since Wang's 50 cash coins had only 1/20th of bronze per cash as his smallest coins did, and his 5,000 cash coins were minted with proportionally even less. The effect was to substitute fiduciary currency for a Han Dynasty gold standard. Simultaneously, Wang ordered the recall of all the gold in the empire. Thousands of tons of the precious metal were seized and stored in the imperial treasury. When the dramatic decrease in its availability was felt as far away as Rome, where Emperor Augustus was forced to ban the purchase of expensive imported silks with what had become mysteriously, from the Roman point of view, irreplaceable gold coins. In China, the new bronze coinage produced rampant inflation and a sharp increase in counterfeiting. Wang Mang's land reforms, meanwhile, appear even more consciously revolutionary. The strong, Wang Mang wrote, possess lands by the thousands of mu, while the weak have nowhere to place a needle. His solution was to nationalize all land, confiscating the estates of all those who possessed more than 100 acres, and to distribute it to those who actually farmed it. Under this, the so-called Qing system, each family received about 5 acres and paid the state tax in the form of 10% of all the food that they grew. So we'll talk more about that, but ultimately he's in power, from goddamn 9 AD? No, how long? Let's see, Zen. How long was he emperor? He was an emperor for quite some time. Quite some time. He was an emperor from, 9 AD to 23 AD. So he was in power for fucking 14 years. I mean, if you're just going to be there for the people, you do your reforms and then you get out, then you step down. Where's the elections? Where's the successor process? He was just going to be the king and be the king forever and ever and ever. So what are his dates? 9 to 23 AD. And that's 14 years, right? Yep, 14 years. Wang Mang George Washington was only king for 8 years. Why does Wang Mang want to be king for 14 years? He may have started out as socialist or, doing good, but when shit started spiraling out of control, he just started getting high on drugs and started hanging out with his magician friends he knew all was lost. He knew it was all lost. And so, what does it matter? So 2006, Wikileaks is introduced. Tom Brady's the 3rd quarterback to get 500 touchdown passes in 2018. 1648, you got the first fire department. Sputnik 1 was launched by the USSR. in 1957. In 1862, the two-day Battle of Corinth ends with a Union victory. 1824, Mexico becomes a republic. 1636, Sweden defeats Ferdinand III, Battle of Wittstock, Brandenburg. 1910, Portugal becomes a republic. 2016, Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale divorce after 13 years of marriage. Marriage is a happy time where two people are trying to do a thing, but divorces could be happy times too, because when you've gone too fucking long, right? 14 years, 13 years, then it's too long. So divorce, I once heard somebody say that the divorce was happier. He was more happier about the divorce than he was the marriage. 1779, he's like, God, I love divorces. Everybody should get married to just get a divorce. 1779, you had the Fort Wilson riot. 1725, the foundation of Rosario, Argentina. 1800, University of California, founded in Los Angeles. 1864, the New Orleans Tribune is the first black daily newspaper. It's formed. This is all October 4th. Susan Sarandon is born. Thelma and Louise Igby goes down. 1636, the first law drafted in Plymouth Colony, Massachusetts is written. 1942, Gregory Peck, 26, marries Greta Kukkonen, 31. So see, I support marriage. Gregory Peck gets married to Greta Kukkonen. But you had Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale who divorced. 1854, Abe Lincoln makes his first political speech at the Lyceum. No, wait. His first political speech, and then what's the Lyceum speech at 1838? But at the Illinois State Fair. So maybe his political speech in order to become senator. 1854, Abe Lincoln makes the first political speech at the Illinois State Fair. 1864, the National Black Convention meets in Syracuse, New York. Cinnamon Roll Day, Sweden and Finland celebrate cinnamon rolls. So we can all eat cinnamon rolls in honor of Sputnik and the fire departments and Tom Brady and Wikileaks and overthrowing a damn shitty oppressive emperor. When tyranny becomes law, then rebellion becomes duty. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. And then making them stay on their own land. No, you can't sell your land. Well, how am I going to eat? Day of Peace and Reconciliation is Mozambique. Why do we have a day of peace and reconciliation on this day? What happened in Mozambique? I want to know. 1966, Lesotho Independence Day. So you had a bunch of republics, right? This is liberated from the United Kingdom. Lesotho is going to be its own republic in 1966. Mexico became a republic in 1824. Portugal became a republic October 4th, 1910. And Lesotho gets to be independent. So I would think that they're a republic as well. 1966, October 4th. This is also the beginning of World Space Week. And it's also World Animal Day. So Merry October 4th, everybody. Merry October 4th.